Good morning, Robert. Happy Friday. Let's jump right in with some Go Noodle Flow, pal. Here we go. Let's share our screen. Get all ready to start school, pal. Oh, where'd it go? There it is.
Melting, melting, melting. We all have those moments when we freeze. We can't move. We can't think. But with practice, we can get good at melting that frozen feeling. Let's freeze up and then melt. Stand up in a spot with a little space around you. Cross your arms and hold your shoulders with your hands. Carefully tuck your chin down and in. Tighten as many muscles in your body as you can. Let your body be frozen, like an ice statue. Feet tight, legs tense, belly tight, shoulders up. Now, even make a frozen face. Close your eyes, your mouth, your jaw, tight. Feeling frozen? Really still? Now, little by little, begin to melt. Let your chin stay low as your face softens and melts. Your jaw opens slightly, your eyes blink open, just a little. Your mouth and cheeks melt and feel soft. You're melting. Let your shoulders melt and go down. Hands let go. Arms glide down to your sides, melting. Let your legs melt too. Soften and bend. Melt. Try to melt all the way to the floor. Down, down, down. Let yourself be a blob, a puddle on the floor. Melted all the way to soft. Exhale long. Once frozen and tight, and now melted, a little more at ease. Let's do it again. This time, choose your own frozen statue. Be creative. Freeze your arms. Freeze your legs. Freeze your face. Make a funny face if you'd like. Freeze there. Tighten. Freeze, freeze, freeze. You're frozen. Close your eyes or keep them open. Stay frozen for just one more moment. Ready to melt?
All right,
One
last
icy
big melt,
part of you
buddy.
at a time begins to melt. Face, eyes,
Hope for rubbing our
Jaw,
cheeks, our jaw,
head, chin goes down,
our chin.
shoulders drop,
The big one, our
fingers
shoulders,
soften and droop,
our fingers
hands
and our
too.
arms.
Arms float down.
So we can be able
You
to
are
push our
melting.
switch and play our song.
Let your legs allow you to melt down to the floor. Melt, 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 droop, settle,
Perfect.
and rest.
Remember to check
Melt
in one more time.
Try
Make
to
sure that
feel
your
at
body
ease
is
here.
very melty,
Soft.
ready to work.
Check in on your body. Is any area still frozen?
Check those hands one last
Notice
time,
that
buddy.
tightness.
Those
Melt
hands
it
and
if you
those
wish.
arms so we can move them all the way out.
Rest here.
Very good.
Breathe. Eyes are open or
closed.
closed. Next time you feel frozen,
Very good,
in
bud.
your mind or in your body, try to melt it
That's it.
away.
Awesome, buddy. Very good. All right, let's move right into our numbers. Holy cow. We're going to move right into our numbers and our letters, buddy. I hope you're doing a really good job with these. I can see that you're practicing them with your mom. I'm very happy. It's looking like hopefully we'll be able to meet again. I'll text your mom the information. It's looking like in-person school might happen this fall. So hopefully we'll be back together before you know it. But here we go, bud. Let's do some of our numbers and letters. 1. There is one Robert Percy. You have one nose, you have one mouth, you have one heart, sir. There is only one of you. 2. Robert, you have 2 eyes, you have 2 ears, you have 2 lungs. 1, 2. 1 and 2. 3. You don't have 3 of anything. 1, 2, 3. You are not an alien, sir, so you don't have 3. 1, 2, 3 of anything. 4, remember if we take our 2 hands and our 2 feet down below, that gives us 4. 1, 2 hands, 3, 4, all together with our hands and our feet. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4. And my last one, 5, to give a high 5. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. High 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Excellent. And then the silly thing we do with our letters to spell out Robert. So let's make those funny noises. R, r, r. That's the first R in Robert. R, r, r. Robert. The letter R. Ah, 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 ah. That's O. That's the O in Robert. O. B, 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 b. Rob, b, b. Robert. That's the B in Robert. The next one I sound kind of silly when I do remember we have our E, which makes the S sound, but it doesn't make too much sense unless we put the R there too. So it's Rob, and that's your E and your R together. Rob, and the very end, T. Robert, T. R-O-B-E-R-T. R-O-B-E-R-T. That's you, Robert. Great job. All right, next up, let's do When the Band Comes Marching In, because I really like that song. It's a good tune. Maybe we can ask Miss M to put that on your switch when we get back to school, pal. Here we go.
Oh, when the drum comes marching in. Oh, when the drum comes marching in. It goes. When the drum comes marching in. Oh, when the tuba comes marching in. Oh, when the tuba comes marching in. It goes. When the tuba comes marching in. Oh, when the trumpet comes marching in. Oh, when the trumpet comes marching in. It goes. When the trumpet comes marching in. Oh, when the trombone comes marching in. Oh, when the trombone comes marching in. It goes. When the trombone comes marching in. Oh, when the clarinet comes marching in. Oh, when the clarinet comes marching in. It goes. When the clarinet comes marching in. Oh, when the flute comes marching in. Oh, when the flute comes marching in. It goes. When the flute comes marching in. Oh, when the cymbal comes marching in. Oh, when the cymbal comes marching in. It goes. when the cymbal comes marching in. Oh, when the band comes marching in. Oh, when the band comes marching in. It goes. When the band comes marching in. When the band comes marching
Great song. One of my favorites. One of my favorites. All right, buddy. The next up, we have our story that we're going to read. And we are talking about the instrument this week. It's called the harp. And that's a really pretty sounding instrument that I hope you'll really, really like when I play it for you next. But right now, we're going to read a story. It is called, I think I'm going to read it for you today, The Leprechaun's Gold. The Leprechaun's Gold. Here we go. The Leprechaun's Gold. Long ago, before even your great-great-grandfather was born, there lived in a small village in Ireland a man known as Old Pat. Old Pat was a harpist, and a good one at that. Many a wedding was made the merrier by Old Pat's harp. In the same village dwelled young Tom. Tom had learned his own harp playing from Pat's teaching, but now Tom thought himself a better harpist than old Pat. He was given much to boasting and bragging and charging the villagers great amounts of silver for his skills. Old Pat was humble and willing to play his music for free for those he knew and did not have a means to pay. Foolish old man, scoffed young Tom. What use is a gift if not to make you rich? Old Pat replied, I am rich in friends, and that is enough. It is supposed to be that life would have continued long for its way for old Pat and young Tom had they not seen an announcement. By the order of the king, there is a harping contest to choose the finest harpist in Ireland at the royal palace. Don't waste your time, old man, scoffed Tom. It's a young man like myself that they'll be wanting. But Pat shook his head and gathered his few meager possessions for the journey. Aha, thought young Tom, if we travel together, he's sure to offer me a bit of food, and that will save me a penny or two. And so it was on that night that the two sat together by the fire of twigs. They were footsore and weary from walking as many miles toward the royal palace. As he listened to Pat practicing for the contest, a sudden thought flashed through young Tom's mind. I could lose to this ridiculous old man. So as old Pat turned his head for a second, the wicked boy quickly snapped a string on Pat's harp and pushed his own spare string deep inside his bag. I'm sorry for your trouble, he said to old Pat, but I have no string to lend you, for I might need it myself. Old Pat sighed. He had no money to buy a new string. The harping contest was as good as lost. But as the voice rose in the wail, old Pat's kindness of heart proved stronger than his fear of leprechaun tricks. We must find out who is this trouble, he cried to Tom. Not I, declared young Tom. I have nothing to do with it. I'll not take the risk of missing this contest. He turned his back to the voice and covered his ears. So they started to hear a voice. I wonder what it was. Oh, on shaky legs, old Pat walked toward the sound of the voice. In the clearing, he saw a tiny man with his foot down a rabbit hole. Help me, sir, cried the little man. I took off my shoe to rest my feet, and a rabbit has taken hold of my big toe. From deep inside the burrow came a shrill laugh of a rabbit. Let go, you rogue, the little man yelled down the hole. I'll have you for dinner, you pesky bag of flea-ridden fur. These pictures are pretty silly. You'll have to read them. Look at these pictures when we're done, pal. He bent down and barked piercingly as a fox might in the night. The rabbit let out a scream of fright, and out popped the little man's toe. Thank you, cried the leprechaun, for the leprechaun he was. Come, said Pat, trying not to laugh, for a funnier sight he thought he would never see. I've not much to offer, but I have your welcome. What I have, you're welcome to share. So that crazy noise was a leprechaun. Old Pat led the leprechaun back to the fire. I see your fellow traveler has up and gone, said the leprechaun. A brave fellow indeed he proved to be, but I thank you kindly for your help. I'd like to repay you. I'll be needing no payment, answered old Pat. He picked up his harp and began to play a soft tune to soothe the little man. You play well, said the leprechaun, but I'm thinking your harp is not in a good way. I have a broken string, answered old Pat sadly. I'm on my way to the harping contest at the old palace, but I will not win now. I have no money to buy a new string. Ah, declared the leprechaun sharply. So it's the gold you'll be wanting. No, indeed, cried old Pat, mighty alarmed. He knew terrible things happened to those who searched for crocks of leprechaun gold. Ah, but yes, I think it's so, answered the leprechaun firmly. Suddenly, old Pat's eyes would not stop from glowing. With a sigh, he fell asleep. The leprechaun blew a silvery note on his whistle. Out of the forest came a hand of little men, each carrying a bag. He wants the gold, said the leprechaun as he told the tale of old Pat. You know what to do. The little men nodded solemnly as they clicked open their bags. When old Pat awakened the next morning, he looked around in fright, but the leprechaun was gone. It's a lucky escape I've had, cried old Pat as he picked up his harp case and set off for the royal palace. As he got to the courtyard, young Tom took the stage, looking mighty pleased and confident. He began to play a sweet tune, but as if bewitched, the strings on his harp began to break. One by one, they twanged and twitched and twirled in the air until they lay dangling. Young Tom gazed at his harp in horror, but then he knew. Leprechauns, he muttered as he hung his head and shuffled from the stage. Now it was old Pat's turn. With sadness in his heart, the old man reached for his harp. Then his eyes widened, for there, inside his bag, lay a glittery golden harp. The leprechaun's gold, gasped old Pat. He lifted the golden harp and began to play. He played the merriest music ever heard, so wonderful that the wind itself stopped to listen. A wild tune it was, which filled the people's hearts with joy and their lips with laughter. As the magic seized them to their feet, the people began to dance. Soon the courtyard was filled with dancing, singing, and laughing crowd. The other harpists knew now that it was Pat's day and danced along with the people. Even young Tom, who had learned a hard lesson, found generosity growing in his heart. When the final note faded away, the king rose from his throne and beckoned to Pat. Old man, said the king, the prize is yours. Never have I heard such music. From now on, you will play always for me and for my people. You are awarded the title of Royal Harpist of Ireland. The end. Oh, and from the nearby forest came the twinkling sound of a little leprechaun laughing. That was a pretty sweet story about a leprechaun. And when you do the right thing, sometimes that's when good surprises happen for you. And you always do the right thing, buddy. You bring so much joy to everybody, including me. I hope you have a great weekend, buddy. I'll see you on Monday. Bye.